Zoning variance request to reduce the rear yard setback from 35 feet to 20 feet. Owner Ben Frizzell, 1785 Battlefield Parkway, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, 30742, map number 0003C080. Ordinance number 2023-30. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of this zoning variance? Yes, sir. If you would go to the podium and state your name.
Yes, my name is Ben Frizzell.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
We're locating a freestanding Jimmy John's with a drive-through, and it's a relatively small lot, and with the setbacks as they stand, it eats up about 60% of the lot because it's a less depth in this type of lot than we're typically used to. And what we're requesting is take that rear yard, which is 35 foot, and the rear yard actually faces a parking lot. It's there's a big shopping center, so it's a sea of parking on that side, and that would allow us to shift the building toward the parking lot, and thereby get more stack lanes because that drive-through window, we're doing kind of a mirror image on the building. And the attractive side of the building, that would allow us to face it toward Battlefield Parkway rather than the rear side, which we would have to do to get that drive-through window toward the parking lot, because the stack lane circles the building from the parking lot around Battlefield Parkway side and then back around the building. So that allows us to make the attractive side facing the parkway, which we would really like, and get a little additional stack, and kind of helps us alleviate some of the hardships that we're dealing with.
Where is 1785?
It's there's a Tractor Supply, I think, there, and then
there. Okay.
Yeah, and it's this was a subdivided lot.
Yeah.
Out of.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about. Right behind where I live. Okay.
I don't have anything else?
I don't believe so. I think I've covered it.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of this rezoning variance? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz.
Thank you.
This time we'll call our regularly scheduled council meeting to order. Mr. Stoltz, if you would, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Earl Gray.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Derek Rogers. Councilman Jim Childs.
Here.
Council Lady Rhonda James.
Here.
Councilman Craig Crawford.
Here.
Council Lady Paula Stinnett.
Here.
Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Let the record show we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. This time we'll do our invocation and our pledge. Mr. Childs, if you would do the invocation. Ms. Stinnett, lead us to the pledge, please.
Well, yes. Thank you, dear Lord, for the many blessings that you give us. Thank you for our city, our citizens, and thank you for us. Be with us, guide us as we hold these meetings. And I do pray for peace throughout the world. Be with those people over there. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll set the agenda for tonight's meeting. Ms. Hune, do you have any additions or deletions?
No, Mr. Mayor, I do not.
Thank you, Ms. Hune. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Crawford. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is set. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from our previous meeting. Members of council have had an opportunity to review the minutes from our meeting held on September the 25th. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. James, second by Mr. Crawford. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is appearances. David Mitchell. All right, sir.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Gary Melinda.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm representing Community Finance Corporation, which is based out of Tucson, Arizona, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Community Finance Corporation was established in 1991. It exists. It is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation which exists and is only in business to help government implement projects. In that time frame, we've been fortunate to participate in 19 projects with a total financing value of a little under $2 billion, about $1.9 billion. So we've been at it for a while. We're very passionate about what we do, and we enjoy what we do tremendously. So I wanted to speak to you tonight about Community Finance Corporation's proposal to acquire the property formerly known as the Cloud Springs Lodge for essential workforce housing. I know David has briefed you on this previously, but just to quickly recap, will be 104 units, a mix of 73 studios and 31 one-bedrooms. We think Community Finance Corporation, our team, is the best bet, honestly, to turn this property around and make a positive contribution to the community for the next 30 years. This is a long-term engagement. The financings we're involved in, the projects we're involved in, are typically financed with tax-exempt bonds, and they are long-term projects, minimum 20, 25, even 30 years. So we are built to last, to follow a pretty robust standard in the projects we do. So if I could ask you to flip to page 13. I think we, maybe start with, who are we and how do these pieces fit together? So Community Finance Corporation will be the owner of the property on Pine Grove Access Road. We will engage with the Good Homes team as our developer and asset manager, so they'll be engaged in this project for the duration as well. The bonds, the financing is originated through the Public Finance Authority, which is a specialty municipal bond financing entity that is in this business of issuing tax-exempt bonds and providing access to the capital markets. Who buys these bonds? These are institutional investors that understand risks and provide a lot of value, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And our bank is a company, the Jeffries Group, which is the investment bank on the project. So if you want to, or I guess what I wanted to mention, okay, tax-exempt rates. Well, what does that really mean? Well, it really translates to lower rents. The cost of those funds and the structure of the financing translates to more affordability for Fort Oglethorpe tenants, really, and people that live here that are looking for housing options. So really, I guess we're confident in this, and there's three things that I'll drill down on a little bit here. And that, number one, I talked about already. We really are experienced at this, and we care about it. We're passionate about it, particularly housing. That's an emerging area, and this is workforce housing, which will draw that distinction and kind of put a little more color on that. Two, this is structured to meet institutional investors' standards, and we'll talk about what does that really mean, and why is that a good thing. And third, we have a very targeted tenant strategy. Who is the prospective tenant that would live here? Want to make sure we have that standard, and we're very deliberate in making sure they have the right folks in here that are going to be a positive contribution to the community. So if you could turn to page 14, just flip back a page. Won't burden you with too many numbers here, but the total financing is just under $14 million. The acquisition cost of the project is 8.7. So you say, well, that's a big difference. What is going on here? What is that difference about? And that's really what I'm suggesting here, is that when this type of project has robust reserves which is part of, we kind of translate all this to built to last, to endure, to weather business cycles, to be well-maintained over time, to not fall into disrepair. That's the kind of requirements that we have and that our bond investors that invest in these projects expect and demand, frankly. So there's capitalized interest. That's basically a lease-up reserve. We have up to 12 months budgeted to lease up the project. Some people will tell you they can lease up a property in 90 days, and maybe they can, but we're very deliberate in our strategy of tenant acquisition. There's a debt service reserve. Okay, well, what if there is a financial difficulty that has to be worked through? Well, the bondholders they want you to get some money to work through that. So there's over $1 million in debt service reserve. There's an operating reserve. There's a capital expense fund reserve, because these properties have to be maintained over time. So just so you're aware, what does that really translate to when you say built to last? I mean, it's partly how you structure it coming in and how the financing is organized. If you could flip back to page 11, I want to talk a little bit about our tenants, or our target tenants. So who is an ideal resident? And really they support local businesses, they're cost oriented, and they are looking for a convenient location where they don't really have a long commute between their job, their place of employment, and where they have to live based on affordability. So I won't read through all of these. You can look at these, but it really boils down to the majority will be people that are working for local employers, for major employers. We've been working with the Good Homes team, who has a very innovative approach to repositioning assets that are maybe not the best in the community right now, and making them one of the best. And we have had many discussions about what that means. How do you do that? And David is here to answer questions as well. But basically, it's meeting with those employers, healthcare, government, private sector businesses, making sure they're aware that this housing is available for their employees, that this makes sense for them. So and there's a range of target, but part of that is, again, like I was mentioning, being deliberate in having the right tenants. If you flip to the next page over, page 12, this is also a lot different than what the property used to be. This will be, I think the most important is it's a 1-year lease. These are not short-term leases. This is not extended stay type housing. People will complete a rental application. They'll have to provide proof of employment, income, criminal background check, credit checks, and so forth. So, again, this is part of making sure you have good tenants that can pay the rent and are making a positive contribution to the city. I wanted to also then talk about, if you go to page 15, there's a summary of our request for a hearing. And we have, and you've heard this before, but I wanted to kind of just explain, that in order for us to move forward with the project, there's two important things. It's a federal requirement that any time these type of bonds are issued, that there's a hearing held, a public hearing, where the public has an opportunity, knows of the project, can attend a hearing and can comment. So nothing more than that, but it is a requirement. So we can't proceed without something like that, and that's true for the issuer as well. Just federal policy. From our perspective as the nonprofit, our charitable purpose is lessening the burdens of government. So we also will not enter into a project unless we have some defined governmental burden. And we do a wide range of projects. They range from infrastructure, fiber optic cable networks, we've had utilities, that type of thing. We've had public buildings, fire stations. We've had economic development projects. We have a convention center, a hotel in San Antonio. So very big range of projects, but they all have to meet these two requirements, or we're not able to participate. So we also, in our diligence here and working with the city staff and some other just awareness of issues in the community, we've offered a couple things that, based on what we heard. And we've offered and provided some written guidance to the city staff related to our willingness to not enter and put in writing that we will not enter into Section 8 contract, will not accept Section 8 tenants, which is allowable in our state here in Georgia. We won't seek a real property tax exemption based on our C3 status. I think that's important. You know, there's a significant increase in taxes based on the value of the property, based on its improved value. And that's important to support not just the city, the county, and the school districts. And we also, in the projects we work on, particularly housing, we like to have input from the community. We will form an advisory committee, and we would very much like to have a representative from the city on that committee to, work with our asset manager, with David's team, with Good Homes, and to keep us informed. We'll be here obviously as well. But the project will have professional management, a local property manager, Good Homes team in here with their brand, making sure it meets their standards and our standards. But again, just that eyes and ears input from the community. So putting all that together, that's really our proposal. We appreciate very much your time, and I'm happy, David and I are happy to answer any questions at all you may have.
Council have any questions?
Mayor, if I might, just one question. Mr. Melody, I noticed there's a developmental management, but who's going to be the day-to-day operator manager of this facility?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a team. We've interviewed a few different firms that'll be the day-to-day property manager. So that, we don't have the firm identified yet.
Yes,
but
sir.
we're happy
Yes,
to
sir.
share that as soon as we do.
I don't have anything else, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is ordinances. Item number 1 under ordinance is the third and final reading of ordinance number 2023-29. Ms. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-29, it is hereby ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe an ordinance to amend the Fort Oglethorpe Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 90, Section 66, speed zones, so as to amend and establish speed zones within the city limits of Fort Oglethorpe, to provide for the provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for modification, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law. Mayor?
Thank you, Ms. Stoltz. I have a motion to vote on ordinance number 2023-29.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stinnett, second by Mr. Child. Is there any discussion?
How much time are we gonna have to advertise to the public about this? And what options will there be for that advertisement?
We will advertise the speed limit change. There's only one speed limit change, that's Lafayette Road will go to 35 miles per hour, is the only change in this ordinance. And that'll be advertised for a minimum of 30 days before it's enforced.
Just out of curiosity, what does that advertising entail? Like,
It has to be posted at 35 miles an hour and no enforcement for those days. We also will put it on our Facebook page for the police department to make sure that folks are notified properly of that speed limit change.
I just wanted to clarify if advertisement meant something different than just the speed limit sign.
Now, speed limit signs, and then we'll use social media and other forms, website stuff to advertise through the police department.
Any other discussion? Ms. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2 is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-30. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-30, be it ordained by the mayor and council for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, a zoning variance ordinance for tax parcel number 0003C080, located at 1785 Battlefield Parkway, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia 30742, requested by the owner, Ben Frizzell, so as to amend the zoning of said property to reduce the rear yard setback from 35 feet to 20 feet, to amend the official zoning map for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, and other related purposes. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 3 is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-31. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-31, an ordinance to approve the 2024 fiscal year budget for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Be it ordained by the mayor and council for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, an ordinance to approve the city of Fort Oglethorpe 2024 fiscal year budget, to provide for the provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Next item on the agenda is new business. Item number 1, recommendation to renew the annual contract between the city of Fort Oglethorpe and the Catoosa County Citizens for Literacy. Ms. Hume.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The city has been in a longstanding partnership with the Catoosa Citizens for Literacy. If this agreement between the two entities is renewed, the Citizens for Literacy on behalf of the city will initiate, plan, direct, and coordinate programs for improving literacy levels in the city and in the Catoosa County Learning Center. It also will oversee GED and continuing education classes, a reading program, computer classes, and child care and transportation services. If approved, this would be in the amount of $5,000 coming out of the general fund. And Ms. Shirley Smith of the Catoosa Citizens for Literacy is here tonight as well, and she would like to address you all about this item. That's all right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, please.
First, thank you for everything you do, because we're coming along. I said when we started 20 years ago that my goal was to make sure that everyone had a high school diploma or a GED, and I'd like to put myself and the rest of us out of business so we could go on to something else. We're still working. It's a lot less than it was when we started, because it went from when we started 20-something years ago, it was 36.2% illiteracy. Hey guys, it's about 9 or 10 now. Excellent. So don't expect us to have the 50s, 60s, and 70s that we had getting GEDs back in 20 years ago, but we're proud of the fact that we don't have that many. So this year, we had 25 receive their GEDs, and a total of 95 for that last year. This year, our year starts at July 1st, and so far we've had 4. But the instructor came bouncing down the hall, and I do mean bouncing down the hall, saying, hey, we're going to have 2 more, maybe 4. And I said, may I tell the council that? And she said, please do. So this is just October. We've had 4, and we're going to have about 4 or 5 more before this month's over. And in what we do now is they don't all have to take their GED once. They can take them in sections. And we've had several that have already gone and have taken segments of that. So we have that coming in too. And from 2020, you know, everybody's been scraping to get back. And the great thing about the technical college system and GNTC is that when 2020 hit us, we made lemonade out of lemons, because we started doing it from home on computers, so we didn't drop very much. And so we're very proud of that, and proud of the fact that you believe in us and have helped us. One of the things I do need to tell you though is we pay CCL, with your help and with all the grants and things we get, the testing fee is now $284. The people that are taking their GEDs, that's their medical fees, that's their gas, gas is big, and their food. So by us paying that, and we will pay it as long as we can and as long as we get the funds to do it. But that's a big thing right now, and to have that many do that. We also still give the $500 scholarships to those that are named in October for the scholarship, that we have the Student of the Year scholarship. And we still do that. Last year we had 3. This year we have 2. Last year we had one young man who had dropped out of school. And I probably told this last year, but it's so good I have to tell it again. And he dropped out of school and thinking, he can do it. Well, we all find out, no, they can't. But he came in, not only did he get his GED, he went on to school at GNTC or somewhere where they were doing welding. He got his MIG and his TIG. Now, I'm expecting all of you to know what that is because I'm not a welder. But he got both of those, and then he got the GED and Student of the Year, which gave him a $500 scholarship. He's going back to school and going to open up his own business. We all know what that means. Taxes paid into the community. He takes part in the community. Well, what was the great thing, though, is there were about 7 or 8, maybe 9 students in there, and they got down on themselves. They will do that. And he picked up and said, hey, kick yourself in the rear. We're going to get this done. So he became a parapro. He became in there the cheerleader for everybody, and then they all started doing it. That happens every time. They come in there, and this is not high school where they did that. And one of the probably shouldn't tell you. One of the teachers said, I'm so glad you could do something with him. We just couldn't do anything. I said, we don't give up. And we didn't give up. Now, this young man has a high school diploma, the welding, and he's going on. And we're very proud of that fact. But I wanted to tell you, there are other things that we do. And one of the things is this. I've probably told you about this before. This is our GED. This is the dictionary, because third grade children, that is you know this, third graders, that's the one where we can't get them to read. If they aren't reading by third grade, they're having trouble. So we're doing testing. This is the first graduation gift that a third grader gets. And we give a dictionary to every student in Catoosa County. And I had something that I had to go to at the library, and this young man came up to me, and I had these sitting out on the table. He said, hey, I have one of those. And I said, you do? And I said, how old are you? And he said, 17. And I said, well, then have you graduated yet? He said, I'm going to. Because this little pen says class of 32. That was last year. They also get that. And third graders, if you know anything about third graders, they are so eager to put, hey, this is not an iPhone. This is not something you go look at. This is actual words, actual book. And it's really more than just a dictionary. It's got the longest word in the world, and it's got everything else, and they are so appreciative. This is another thing we do. And they also, during school, we work with the children, because you know what? Most all children have parents. So in the back of this book is advertisement. And so everything we do has an advertisement for literacy. So we can get that. And September was Literacy Month. And November is Family Literacy Month, and we are already doing things to help families. We do what we call book bags. At one time, we did the Dolly Parton Imagination Railroad, but that thing's expensive, and $50,000 is what you have to have up front. Well, we can't do that. So we started doing book bags with the library. In those book bags is a book. It has all of our information, all of the information for a new family or anyone to go where they can find anything. And so those books, we're giving those out, and we just got a grant to buy more books of $5,000. And so we are constantly getting grants. In fact, we got a grant last year for these. So we're still finding that, and we can, I always say we kind of make George Washington cry because we squeeze him a lot. But these are the things that we are doing on top of the GED, and we appreciate your help and being with us you've been with us the whole time. That's 20 years, guys and gals. Sorry. But we appreciate you very much, and the number of people's lives that you have touched is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion to approve.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stinnett, second by Mr. Childs. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2, recommendation to approve contract modification number 1 for the blanket contract for the addition of bathrooms and concessions area at Stable 41 Pavilion. Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is actually a summary change order as well as the first contract modification for our construction of the restrooms and concessions area at Stable 41. On March 27th, the council awarded a contract in the estimated amount of $220,000 to construct bathrooms and a small concessions area. I'm pleased to say that the bathrooms are completed. They were used for the first time on Saturday, and everybody was really happy. I'm sorry we didn't have a bow for you to cut, Rhonda, but we ran out of time, but I wanted one for you. I just want to say that our building maintenance supervisor, Tim Doolittle, served as kind of our general contractor for this, and he did an amazing job. If you haven't had a chance, they're the most beautiful bathrooms I've ever seen. But there were some changes in the contract along the way. Some things cost a little bit more. Some things had to be added along the way, to the tune of $10,602.63, and if approved, it comes out of SPLOST.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. James, second by Mr. Crawford. Any discussion?
Have to be pretty to be better than Buc-ee's.
They're beautiful. I mean, Buc-ee's is a different level, but they're very pretty.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3, recommendation to approve contract modification number 1 of the contract to construct pickleball courts, renovate existing tennis courts, and construct additional parking at Gilbert Stevenson Park. Ms. Hune.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On July 24th, the City Council awarded the construction of our pickleball courts and reconstruction of tennis courts and construction of additional parking to Tyson and Associates Construction Company in the amount of $1,571,308. At the time that project was awarded, it was deemed to be coming out of the general fund. However, we would like to do a contract modification to have that money come out of the SPLOST fund. And that is really all this contract modification is. And if you notice, the project is underway. We'll have some pictures of what it will look like soon enough, but we're happy to see that underway. This is simply just to change that funding source.
Thank you, Ms. Hune. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second, sir.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Stinnett. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. City Manager's report. Ms. Hune.
Just a few things. First of all, we've had several water main breaks along 2A last few months because it's been really dry, and that wreaks havoc on underground PVC piping. So I would just like to say thank you to those businesses, especially Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, all those businesses, the Golden Corral. They have been so patient and kind. And Chick-fil-A especially always comes out and offers the guys breakfast when it's a night break, and so I'm very grateful for that community mindedness and patience and understanding. There are several areas in the city that have been paved recently, and our next set of paving is going to occur on Phillips Drive and Gilbert Drive over the next 30 days. We'll be posting that to the website and on Facebook as we get closer to that, but wanted to make y'all aware of that. Again, pickleball and tennis court construction is underway at Gilbert Stevenson Park. That's the reason why we've blocked off about half of the park, but the playground is still open for business, so please come out. And then we've got a handful of events coming up. We have our Veterans Day Market November 11th from 12 to 4 at Stable 41, and we have our Christmas in Fordo Parade and Market November 25th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can get a parade application at fortogov.com. And then finally, winter skating at Stable 41 begins November 18th. We're having some field trips come out and participate in that too. You can book it for private parties if you like. We're really excited to kick off this skating season and see how this goes. Our skating rink will be here tomorrow, so it gets delivered tomorrow. So we're very excited about it.
Are we gonna have shoes, helmets?
Helmets?
Yeah.
That's
Are they-
probably a really good idea, but no helmets, but definitely skates. Skates come with it, yes. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Next item is mayor and council comments. School's out this week. Slow down, be careful. The kiddos will be out there, so exercise a little caution. We're used to not seeing them, and they'll be out there this week, so it's supposed to be pretty weather, so hopefully they get off them computers and get outside. Ms. Childs.
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Crawford.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. James.
I don't have anything.
Ms. Denny.
Well, of course. To follow up with City Manager Hume, we will also have our Veterans Day Parade on 11/11 at 2 o'clock, leaving from Big Lots and going to Barnhart, where everyone can enjoy that Veterans Market. Also, on the 28th of October, that's this month, Halloween, we will have our annual Halloween Spooktacular, where we partner with Fort Oglethorpe Police Department. And this year, there's a free haunted house included. So make sure you save the date to see us at Honor Park on October 28th. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Childs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.